Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Crapo, Senators. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to testify with my colleagues about a top foreign policy and national security priority, Iran. From an illicit nuclear program to support of terrorism to abusing human rights, the Iranian government continues to ignore its international obligations and responsibilities and defy the consensus of the global international community. Their costly and destructive decisions threaten international security, increase tensions in one of the most vital parts of the world, and stifle the great potential of the Iranian people. In confronting these challenges, the U.S. government and the State Department draw on a full range of tools. This includes holding Iran accountable on the world stage, directly empowering the Iranian people to hold their own government accountable, and strengthening our alliances with partners to show Iran the world is united in its concerns. Under the President's and Senator Kerry's leadership, this is an all-hands effort. Every day, every bureau in the Department of State has their eye on Iran. Even as we speak, the IAEA Board of Governors is meeting in Vienna. Along with our P5+ partners, we will urge Iran to comply without delay with its nuclear obligations. On Iran's nuclear ambitions, the President has been clear. First, the United States will prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Second, Iran's leaders have a choice: live up to their international obligations and become a player on the global stage, or continue down the path toward isolation. We know which path Iran has chosen so far, so we've put in place a dual-track policy, ratcheting up pressure while pursuing a diplomatic solution. Pressure to incentivize Iran to seek a deal that addresses the international community's legitimate concerns, engagement to give Iran a way to negotiate that deal if they choose to take it. On the engagement side, we have offered Iran the opportunity to move forward toward a negotiated solution. Unfortunately, as you all know, so far the Iranians have fallen far short with their response. We are clear-eyed in our approach to the P5+1 talks and seek concrete results. After all, while the window for negotiation is still open, it will not remain so forever. We have an obligation to give diplomacy every chance to succeed, but the onus is on Iran. On the pressure track, we have worked closely with Congress and our allies to level sanctions on Iran that carry real consequences. Since 2008, there have been 5 UN Security Council resolutions, 9 executive orders by the executive branch, and 4 wide-ranging laws passed by the United States Congress. These sanctions carry real consequences for Iran. Those measures have worked to make sure that Iran understands there is a cost to their behavior. Iran is increasingly isolated and is under one of the toughest, most comprehensive sanctions regimes ever. The oil sanctions, which we have been implementing for 18 months, have resulted in Iran exporting over 1 million fewer barrels of crude oil each day than it did in 2011, costing Iran between $3 and $5 billion per month. To date, all 20 importers of Iranian oil have either significantly reduced or eliminated oil purchases from Iran. In these cases, the exceptions have served as an artful point of leverage and incentive with importers of Iranian oil. Countries can't go to zero overnight, and we need to make sure that Iranian oil is withdrawn from the market in a timed and phased way that does not raise global oil prices. But exceptions require real and substantial action by our partners. This action puts pressure on Iran, not our coalition, and is a manifestation of our success. With that in mind, exceptions for 9 economies will expire tomorrow. The Secretary is still reviewing the final documents, but as always, my staff will be ready to brief you on the results in a classified hearing. Put simply, the Iranian economy is in a downward spiral, as we saw the candidates themselves say in a Wall Street Journal article of June 1 and 2. Candidates air grim views of Iran economy. The rial has depreciated more than 50% in the last year. Foreign investment has decreased dramatically. With yesterday's executive order, we are applying additional pressure on Iran's automotive sector and expanding sanctions on Iran's petrochemical sector. I understand Undersecretary Cohn will speak further to this executive order momentarily. One reason we've succeeded is that we're not acting alone. The EU has imposed its own sanctions, including an oil import ban that resulted in all 27 EU member states ceasing oil purchases from Iran. Australia, Canada, Norway, South Korea, Japan, and others have enacted their own measures. And even among partners who are skeptical of unilateral sanctions, we have seen robust implementation of UN Security Council resolutions and cooperation on specific sanctions issues. We must not backslide from this progress. The effectiveness of our sanctions depends on our partners, so we have to guard against measures that would put too great a burden on those partners. Sanctions must be felt by Iran, not by us or our allies, and Iran would surely exploit any sign of division. Beyond Iran's nuclear ambitions, we're also concerned about the destabilizing Iran influence is casting across the entire Middle East and beyond. Support to the Assad regime, Iran's closest ally, is sustaining the campaign of violence against the Syrian people. Its aid to terrorist organizations like Hezbollah is threatening our ally Israel and innocent civilians worldwide. That's why we're deepening our military partnerships across the region, particularly with Israel and Gulf states, to defend against attacks from the very groups supported by Iran's leaders. If I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll take one more minute. Yeah. I also want to reiterate our commitment to seeking the safe return of Robert Levingston, Amir Hekmati, and Saeed Abedini, U.S. citizens missing or detained in Iran. We will continue to raise these cases as we pursue all available options until all three of these Americans are united with their families. And of course, we are deeply concerned about the campaign of repression Iran's leaders are waging against their own people. Iranians are owed their rights, freedoms, and dignity that we cherish here as bedrocks of our nation and that all people around the world deserve. So we are helping Iranians break through the electric curtain, creating virtual spaces for those voices that are suppressed and leveling sanctions to hold the individuals and organizations behind the repression accountable. Just last week, the Treasury and State Departments worked together to announce a novel initiative to make personal, secure communications tools more easily available for the Iranian people. I'll finish by saying that we are closely watching the upcoming election, ahead of which we are again seeing increased repression. As Senator Crapo said, Iran's unelected and unaccountable Guardian Council has disqualified hundreds of candidates based on vague criteria and reiterated that women who make up half of Iran's population are barred from serving as president. While Iran's supreme leader called for a, quote, epic election to demonstrate Iran's strength, instead we've witnessed a process that appears to be unfair, unjust, and unrepresentative of the Iranian people, who deserve better from their leaders and from their government. I conclude by saying I'm confident we can continue to work together in dealing with this threat to our security and global stability and developing smart and effective measures that increase pressure on the regime, allow us to maintain the strong coalition we have built, measures that will force Iran's leader to make better choices and empower the Iranian people to hold their government accountable. Thank you for your partnership. I look forward to answering your questions.